Alright, so this is going to be my first video on some back pain relief, and I'm not going to guarantee back pain relief. I don't think anybody can. So this is what I do. You know, like everybody else out there, I've scoured the internet and YouTube for videos regarding back pain relief exercises and gizmos and whatever it is. And a little bit of history about my back pain is mine started when I was 15. I'm now 37 years old, and at 15 years old I ended up having a pain injection, and that was after about 3-4 months of chiropractic and physical therapy, and it helped. My symptoms at the time when I was 15 is I had a real bad sciatica. First, it started off as just low back pain. It was more achy, so I ended up going to chiropractor. Actually after one adjustment, the pain went shooting down my leg. It was mostly in my glute and in my hamstring. It felt like hot needles going through. It was all hours. It didn't matter. I couldn't sleep. I used to sleep on ice and my feet up in the air, trying to create pressure off my low back. Whatever the case was, I tried it to get rid of back pain. And I was not overweight as a kid. I was very well, I was, involved in sports. I ran track, played basketball. Not to go into my glory days, but I was state qualifier twice. But anyways, it wasn't a weight issue. A lot of people like to blame weight as a, for people's back pain. And you know what? Weight is a cause for back pain. If you are kind of on the heavier side and you've been that way for a long time, it will put pressure on your spine over time. So, I'm not going to talk your ear off, but this is what I do for back pain. And once again, I've been through a lot of it. And, Patrick, get out of here. Come on. Get. I've been through a lot of it. So after my a little bit about my back pain history, once again, 15 years old, herniated disc, L5S1, sciatica real bad, had a pain injection after chiropractor and physical therapy. After the pain injection, I was fine for about 2 years. What ended up happening was the disc above herniated and sciatica went down the left leg. Not as bad as the right, but it was still there. And I did more chiropractic care. I did acupuncture. And as I said, I was 17 years old at the time. So, back pain and back treatments have come a long way since then. And so after that, it's been okay. I don't know. It was I went through a period where, during my real bad sciatica years and back pain, I started doing a lot more jogging, a lot more stretching. I gained weight because I couldn't exercise. I couldn't play basketball. I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. But I got back into my routine, and I really picked up stretching, a lot of jogging, and my back pain was fine. It was manageable for a long time. I didn't have to take any kind of medication. And but there are times throughout the years where it flared up so bad, like I couldn't go to work. I had to go to the doctor. I had to I took Flexerol, I took muscle relaxers, and love that stuff, don't get me wrong, but it's not something that I really want to deal with long term. So a few years ago I had a real bad bout of back pain, and the spasms were nonstop. If you guys, I'm sure a lot of you, I said, if you've been, you wake up in the morning and all of a sudden you're leaning like this, or you're off to one side or the other. And that's the way I was. It was nonstop. I couldn't get it to go away, no matter how many muscle relaxers I took. Chiropractor, I tried chiropractor again. I thought, give it another shot. I'm kind of 50-50 on them, but it is what it is. And I went through a lot of different types of treatments, and finally I landed on spinal decompression. I ended up going to, this is when I lived in Illinois. I live in Tennessee now, but I went to the Illinois Back Institute, and I wouldn't say that they really sold me on their technique or anything. I think they always try to sell you on the before and after images of MRIs. I think that's a load of crap. I think if you have a very fresh injury, do I think that it can possibly heal? Sure. But after 20 years of back pain and you basically have degenerative disc disease, these things, your disc look like they're like I said, look like Oreo cookies in there because there's no material left in them. I don't think they can heal, the way that they say that they can heal. I went through 5 months, 3 days a week for 5 months, and I had another MRI, and my spine looked the same. Like the MRI looked exactly the same, but I felt better. The spasms went away. I still had, my pain level was probably hovering between the 1 and the 2. When I went in, it was probably between 7 and 8. And yeah, so it did help. So, don't think that surgery is always going to be your is the only option. Make sure you do look for the alternatives, but use your head. Listen to your body. If you're dealing with possible, permanent nerve damage, especially in your foot, which is your primary, as far as I'm concerned, is your primary balance mechanism. And like you see, if you lose any sensation in your foot, your big toe, it's going to be hell for you. It's going to be hell walking, exercising, doing anything. So use your head. Have surgery if you need to. If, I said if it's an emergency situation. But if you have back pain and it's just basically more of a nuisance than anything else, well, I'm going to show you what I do in order to go ahead and give myself relief and maybe even heal a little bit. Now, if you've researched enough back pain, you've probably come across McKenzie Exercises. It's where you lay on your stomach and you bend backwards. You can do it while you're standing up. I was told by my physical therapist to go ahead and every time I got out of a chair, if I have an office job, to make sure that I do back bends. I make sure I do at least 2 or 3 every time I get up from a chair. It has helped. It has helped maintain. I have a very flat spine. I don't have that curve, so that's why I have to do these McKenzie exercises, and it does help. And if I don't do them for an extended period of time, yes, I do hurt more. So another thing I do is I make sure I stretch. Like I said, and this is all, everything that I'm telling you is everything that I've experienced, as far as going through the chiropractors, going through physical therapy, learning from the exercises, and just knowing what has worked over the years for me as far as pain relief is concerned. So the McKenzie is definitely pretty close to the top of the list. The spinal decompression that I went through was more of a functional traction. Once again, everybody throws different terminology out there. I'm going to call it spinal decompression. Okay, but that gave me a relief. That, like I said, that brought me from about a 7-8 pain level down to a 1 or 2. So I think that helped. Along with that spinal decompression, because it wasn't just the only part of the treatment, there was physical therapy that was involved. There actually was chiropractic that was involved. So there actually is quite a bit to it. And once again, it's all about, make sure you're strengthening your core, make sure you're strengthening your back muscles, and at the same time, making sure you're stretching those major muscle groups too. And with that being said, so many years went by, throughout high school, college, whatever, one muscle group I never paid attention to was my hip flexors. And if you're not stretching your hip flexors, you got to start. That it's huge. It's such a huge muscle group. And I know, once again, when I'm feeling back pain, I need to start doing my McKenzie, and I need to do more stretching, especially my hip flexors. Most people, when they're exercising, it's always about, make sure I stretch out my quads, make sure I stretch out my hamstrings. And that's about it. Make sure you get those, make sure you get the hip flexors, make sure you get the hamstrings, make sure you get the quads. Make sure you get that piriformis stretch in there too. That's another huge one that people forget about. Foam rolling. Foam rolling is, I think, is I wouldn't say it's magical, but it kind of is. So make sure you get that in there. And now I'm starting to rant. But anyway, so I also have an inversion table. And I said, once again, this is not something. If my back pain is real, kind of intense at the moment, I will use this every day. Don't use it like they use it on TV, though. Do not go completely vertical your first time, especially if you're dealing with back pain. Because most healthy people are not going to buy an inversion table just for the sake of having an inversion table. People buy an inversion table because they're having back pain. So don't use it as advertised. Don't look like a goof, in the infomercial or commercial, whatever it is that you're watching, because your back is not used to that kind of a stretch. You're going to end up in the hospital. Your back spasms are going to be 100 times worse, and it's going to turn into a closet. You know, you're going to hang your clothes on it, you're going to hang your towel on it, and you're not going to use it. I think it's a very beneficial piece of equipment. I'm not advertising any particular brand or anything, but anyways, this one's kind of old. It doesn't lock into any different positions or anything, so I manually have to control my angle as to what I'm at, and I don't use it like a normal person does. I mean, I don't use it in a traditional manner. I don't lay on my back. I should lay on my stomach. So what I do, and once again, one of my favorite things at the chiropractor's office was that the drop table or the split table, whatever it is they want to call it, and they take your legs and they bend them down, and you know, and the chiropractor's pushing on a certain part of your spine, and it really relieves the pressure. Well, you know, I like that. I like that idea where your spine is kind of like this, and it's not in a I would say like an inverted position, but you know what I do, I try to keep it as flat as possible while I'm being stretched. And that was another thing at the Back Institute. You know, when I was on the table, and what they would do is they'd bring your knees up, they get your spine into a flat neutral position, you know, to get the pressure off, and then they decompress you in that position. Come on, go. So that's what I do. So what I do is I lay on my stomach, and I actually put a foam roller right in front of my waist, right around where my hips are at. And I will go ahead and get into an inverted position while this, and I'll go ahead and do it right now. So, like I said, this table is old. It doesn't lock into place. You know, there's a couple thousand different types of inversion tables out there. So, but this is what I have. I don't feel like purchasing another one right now because this one actually it does the job for me. So, once again, I'll put the foam roller under my hips, and I will lean forward. In this position, I have to pull myself forward. But, you know, start here. You know, if you can't get into a steeper angle, don't cause yourself more pain than what you're already in. Start here and get used to that pull. The way to pull, it's going to pull on your lower back. It's going to stretch. You know, for some people, I said this is about as far as you can go. Stay here. You know, I'm kind of used to it, so I'll go a little bit further. You know, and sometimes I'll keep my knees flexed, and then I'll slowly get into that position. Okay. Also, while I'm in this position, let me lay flat here so you can see. So while I'm in this position, I will go ahead and actually do my McKenzie. I'll try to anchor myself the best I can, and then while I'm, you know, I consider the inversion table to kind of decompress the spine. And so while my spine is somewhat in a state of decompression, I'll go ahead and try to do my McKenzie. Now, forgive me, I'm going to go completely vertical here. And I'll go ahead and do my McKenzie that way. You know, like I said, while I'm decompressing, and I'll go back into a vertical state. You know, decompress for about anywhere 5 to 10 seconds, and then I'll come back and do it again. You know, and what it does, like for me, it helps keep a range of motion in the spine. Now, don't keep your arms here. You know, you want to make sure you're getting a stretch. But that's what I do. And that's what's been working for me. Now, it's not going to work for everybody. You know, I'm just throwing out there. I said what works for me. You know, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but, you know, you watch a lot of YouTube videos and you really wonder how many of these people that promote back pain exercises have actually experienced back pain, and how do they know what actually works, you know? And I'm telling you straight, like I said, I've dealt with 22 years of it, and it's not fun, and I know what everybody goes through. But once again, everybody responds differently to different kinds of treatments, you know? I responded well to spinal decompression. The next person, it may not happen. Somebody's going to respond well to chiropractic, you know, and somebody not. And, you know, you just have to listen to your body, and you have to give it a chance. But as I said, don't fall for every little gimmick that's out there. Do your due diligence and do your research, and listen to your body. You know, it's about all I got, you know. The only other thing only other little toy that I have is for my pain, if I really need it, is my my electric muscle stim. You know, I have one of those little battery packs, and you know, it comes in handy at times. Not gonna lie, but I try to make sure that I'm gonna get myself into a state where I'm not gonna be on medication. And you know, the last thing I want to do is to take 800 milligrams ibuprofen 3 times a day, or take a Flexerol and I'm sleeping all day. You know, that's the way that stuff, you know, hits me. Or I know some people take Vicodin, or you know, whatever the case may be. But you know, this is my self-medication here. It's taking all the things that I've done over the years with physical therapy, chiropractor, and kind of put in my own routine. You know, basically it's an overall state of health, and you have to exercise, plain and simple. You just have to do it. If all you can do is walk. I was up to 220 pounds at one point, which is heavy for me, and you know, I just started walking every single day. I walked twice a day. You know, brought my own foam roller to the gym, and you know, and did what I had to do, and you know, and that was it. I ended up dropping 30 pounds, and that was while I was going through the spinal decompression, and it helped. You know, right now I'm probably around 200, but I feel fine. Like I said, every now and then I have my bouts of back pain, and you know, you have to expect that. You know, I don't think there's any one cure for back pain. Look at Tiger Woods. You know, he's had how many surgeries, and he still can't get it figured out. You know, so use the alternatives. You know, if there's any medical professionals out there that have any problem with the advice that I've given today, please, you know, criticize and make a comment. You know, don't be an ass about it, but you know, give me some constructive criticism. And you know, like I said, be careful. You know, be safe with this kind of stuff. Like I said, you can hurt, you can get injured. So like I said, if you're like I said, plan on getting an inversion table sometime soon, or whatever it is, and start slow. Get used to that stretch first before you decide to even think about going fully vertical. But other than that, you know, that's all I got. If you got any questions, you know, hit me up in the comments, and good luck on your back pain journey.